So, everybody's Gomez, comic collector. I'm coming with something for my channel, something new I wanted to do for the community, but for myself as a collector. I know that if you notice posts on IG or YouTube, I usually do just straight haul videos and stuff that I bought during whenever I go hunting, and I don't really have the time at times to sit down and read my comics. And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try to dissect or read some of my comics and share with the community based on the knowledge that I have and the knowledge that I got from reading these comics. And and I just wanted to see touch bases, just basically on some stuff I can share with the community, as well as if you guys don't see this live and watching the rewind, just try to, if you can have a chance, go ahead and comment below of other information I don't know about the character of Swamp Thing. I know that he originated on the house. Was it the House of Secrets issue number 92, which is based on issue 92 was on in 1971, and back then it was the writer was it Alan Lin Win and Bernie Wrightson, and they collaborated together, and they made the story based on the Swamp Thing. But back then, Swamp Thing was let me share my screen. Uh, but my back then, let me see if I can get this. So this is the House of Secrets in the 90s. Everybody knows about this. It came out in July 1971, and this one right here, it's a different story. It goes based on the names are a little changed, and that's what always puzzled me when I read this, because I don't have the raw copy of this one, the original first print, or I know they did a facsimile for $3.99, which I purchased, I believe, two of these, and it's Linda Olson Ridge and Alex Olson. See, these names changed a little bit, and the story is a little different. This story, if you read it before, it kind of like it's different, because in this story they had them to know a person, Damien, who's actually Alex's best friend, ends up like they're doing like chemicals and basically trying to create life matter to grow during like the desert time. That's basically what I know from what I read, and they're trying to bring life into areas that can't get life form. And that's basically like what what I see when it comes to the story of based on Swamp Thing, of that story of House Secrets 92. And that the names are changed and the stories changed. Like I said before, Damien ends up being a great good friend or best friend of Alex, and ends up turning against him for the love of his wife Linda. And when he turns against him and tries to kill Alex, which Damien does, he ends up going to the like a bayou, like the bayou of Louisiana, and ends up totally kind of like dying, but through the chemicals that they created through the process of trying to rejuvenate plants quicker in areas that don't grow plants. He ends up turning into a Swamp Thing through the bayou, and I guess like the history of the dark swamp. And when that happens, he ends up coming back. Um, uh, Damien tries to tell him that, oh, no, a mistake happened, but he ends up knowing the truth, and he ends up seeing that that Damien tries to get a kid on his wife Linda, and when he sees that through the window, he comes crashing in, and he ends up kind of like killing Damien, because he found out that in a way that he killed him, turned against him, and try to take over and have his wife, and his wife wasn't having it. So let me see if I have any comments. I can't see the comments. Wait, let me see. Let me see if I tell your story. What's up, Sith Lordly? But yeah, no, I appreciate you stuff. But that's basically what I did when it was Swamp Thing, House of Secrets 92. Then you go into Swamp Thing, the original, who came out 1972, which is this one right here. I actually got this book from Erod I was able to get a good deal off of it, which I wanted. I know there's like facsimiles as well for the Swamp Thing #1, which came out in 1972. Now this book, the story of it, it's a little different. It's instead of Alex, its name is Alec Holland. So instead of Alex Olsen, with a Raider Bear, Mother Skunka. Yeah, but no, instead of that, he ends up being Alec Holland, and Linda stays the same, but the last names change. And so what this story is, the first story is is he uh is he ends up going to the area where secluded, which is I believe lieutenant or like a police officer Matt Cable goes and he takes him to an area so they can do like chemicals and create, like I said before, life form in areas that can't be created. And they go in there and they do chemicals, but there's these group of men, that try to take the chemicals that they created in life form because they knew it was going to be worth money because nothing was created. And once again, this story was drawn by Bernie Rice and written by Lin Win, and they go there and they try to take his hard work and everything. Which one of the villains was Ferret and Bruno. Bruno's a fucking always a name that everybody a fucking bully name, Bruno and shit like that through the movies and shit. But they end up trying to get his work and then try to offer him a blank check, but Alec wasn't having it. Alex says, "No, this is my work. They care more about the scientific that they gathered through making plants," and they end up getting kind of backfired on him because this guy Ferret works for a guy, Mr. E, whatever. And later on, we'll find out who he is, and he ends up like coming back and threatening him, and ends up saying, "You know what? This guy doesn't want to give me nothing." And through the process, he's going to his time's due. So then he ended up Matt Cable, which is the lieutenant that helps him. Like soon, I guess, in time frame in the past that they don't really they had, I guess, a friendship bond and they're really close. What up, Mr. G? Raider Bear 2 as well, Broski, and he ends up. They end up coming. He ends up telling. Alec ends up telling Matt Cable, which is that these guys try to come and get him and try to take off his work, even though they know it's secluded. They still have areas. So then, during the whole process, I guess he ends up his wife Linda and Alec. They heard a scuffle, and they end up finding out that it was just a dog, but the collar, but the collar had like a radio attractive system, like a radio system, so he can overhear whatever's going on, kind of like a hidden piece when you do shit. So he ends up going in there, and then he ends up overhearing the situation of them creating the chemicals. So then Ferret comes back and ends up putting like a little bomb underneath like one of the tables, and he was by himself during the whole process. I think Linda was somewhere out there in the outskirts. And so the area blows up. And all the chemicals and everything go into Alec, and ends up going and ends up changing him into ends up changing him into the swamp. And let me show real quick. So he ends up changing him to the swamp, which is this one I showed you. I showcased this. This was the issue #1 that I was talking about. And then let's see. And then so he ends up changing to the swamp, and ends up being the Swamp Thing, and ends up like tripping out because he doesn't know what the hell is going on because of the chemicals and everything. So then he goes back to his area and back to where he was at, and then he sees that Linda and Cable were like kind of looking for him, but then Ferret ends up attacking Linda, and because of the situation, he ended up turning against him, and ends up killing Linda, and motherfucking Swamp Thing, Alec, Doc Holland, whatever they call him, whatever they want to call him, ends up killing these motherfuckers that end up doing him dirty, and end up what's it called? Let me see. Let me go back. And ends up. See if I'm sharing. No, I'm stop sharing. But Count Von Strange, what's up, brother? But ends up killing those two guys that turn against him. But the timing frame ain't over. So then he ends up going to ends up killing him. And Matt Cable doesn't know who the Swamp Thing is and what happened. He's kind of like he wasn't during the process of the whole situation that happened. So uh, uh, Matt Cable is in investigation because he knows that when the explosion happened, his best friend Alec Holland died and Linda died during the process of the situation. And those two guys that he murdered. So he's on investigation of what's this Swamp Thing that's been doing it. And yeah, like I see some small thing. Yeah, yeah. No, broski. I'm basically like I said before in the beginning. I'm trying to dissect this a little bit, but share to the community. I'm not. I'm really new to Swamp Thing this whole year, and I've been trying to read it as I can and share what I've known and read so far. And from what I've been reading is that Swamp Thing. Like I said, he ends up having these powers due to like the situation with the chemicals he was creating, and this for some reason there's like this mirror patch, this mirror that this guy ends up seeing Arcane ends up seeing Swamp Thing. What up, Comic Collector? What up, Von Strange? Is that issue number one? Yeah, so issue number one that basically what happened, and then issue two, that's where it comes out where Arcane is watching him through a mirror of seeing his powers and things. So he ends up sending creatures to the bayou to get Alec Holland, which is Swamp Thing, to trying to like because Swamp Thing knows his wife's murdered, and he kind of like in a way he's a little confused because he doesn't know what's going on, and there's almost in a way uncertainty. There's no meaning to life, and he ends up those creatures end up capturing Swamp Thing and taking them to the guy's castle, to the lair of. Oh, I think they end up flying, and when they fly, Matt Cable, which is still on the hunt to look for Swamp Thing, notices there was something on top of the plane because the motherfuckers, what I put for that fucking information, I gather that he's 89 inches, 547 pounds of pure straight fucking muscle. So that's the Swamp Thing, and he ends up taking them to the castle, and Swamp Thing was knocked out, because there was a serpent, like a snake, that kind of like fucking looked at him and then made him pass out. So I was like, okay. So they go with the swamp, and then when they're there, he ends up like waking up and then starts fucking like, what the fuck's going on? So he ends up just to start hitting shit and all that. And these creatures, these deformed ass creatures, were end up like trying to stop him. And then Arcane ends up saying, you know what, my minion, stop. I want to talk to him. I don't want him to get hurt or damaged or dead. So he ends up taking him to his area where Larry's just talking about all these creatures he created, trying to find the right thing. So basically, Arcane's an old guy, probably like in his 80s and 70s, and he's trying to become the Swamp Thing and tries to take his powers to be powerful. So he goes, you know what? I'll let me have your powers, and I'll make you human again. So Alex like, man, human. I'd love to be human again. So then he ends up taking up his body, takes his blood, which is just straight veins from the veins from the plants and all that shit, and he ends up working because he has this chalice that ends up like by that chalice it changes from Swamp Thing to be human, and then in reverse, Arcane ends up being Swamp Thing. So he ends up like being human. He's kind of happy, and he's like, oh, in a way, but he's not, because he's confused, because he starts to think, why am I human? I have no love. There's nobody here to care for in a way. And he ends up like thinking about it. So then he goes, you know what? I'm thirsty. I need some drink. It's late at night. While Arcane thinks he's asleep, he overhears him say the fact that the reason why he wanted those mystic powers, or the powers of the Swamp Thing, is to get revenge off the villagers in town. So Swamp Thing's like, nah, I don't want this strength and this power to turn against people and become evil. So he is, or do evil actually. So he ends up going to he ends up trying to get back to the chalice. He's like thinking of a way to reverse the transformation, because he's like, I don't want some damage to do harm based on the powers I had. So he ends up going to Chalice, but it was guarded by this purple ass mother skunker, and he ends up fighting him, but he ends up choking the mother skunker with the robe of his, and he ends up kind of killing him. But with the chalice, he breaks the chalice, and that's when Arcane comes. What have you done? Da, da, da. So by breaking that chalice that he had, or that vase, it ends up reversing everything that was formed originally. Not originally, but like when he was life form. So he ends up going back to Swamp Thing, while Arcane's kind of pissed off and says, "You know what? Kill this motherfucker. He don't want to fucking do what I say in a way." And become powers. So then he ends up minions, and he's running off because he's an old motherfucker. He can't do nothing, weak ass bones and shit. So he ends up going to fucking tries to get away from him while these minions are attacking him, and then fucking he's just, the minions are probably like a quarter of his size and shit. And he ends up fighting them motherfuckers, and then he ends up getting to Arcane, and Arcane ends up like on like kind of like, because it's a castle, he's on like like in an area where he's backing up, and when he backs up, I guess the ship breaks. What's up, Vincent McLean, the comic McCann, and Count Von Straight? Like I said, thank you for you guys, the comic book collector Tim. I appreciate you guys stopping by, listening to my fucking information and shit. But he ends up fucking killing. Ends up falling a cliff and dies. These minions, they've been following him for so much and doing whatever he ordered, don't know what to do. So they end up all falling where he fall into a fucking, I guess like it was a high cliff, or like a top of the fucking castle, and they end up dying. I don't, you hear nothing from them. So then he ends up like saying, well, I'm back, Swamp Thing, but in the mix of everything, a guy called Patchwork Man ends up overhearing or seeing Swamp Thing, and it becomes a key. And then he ends up, Mr. Unknown Comic, what's up, Sam Kuzo? What's up, broskies? But he ends up watching Patchwork Man ends up watching. See if I could. I'll share you guys some information or some shit that I got that. So then, so he ends up finding him, and through the mix of that, and see if I could find stuff. So it ends up fixing that. He ends up Patchwork Man ends up like kind of like a deformed guy, like he's deformed. And in the mix of this is issue 3. Now we're going to issue 3, and you get to shout out to my boy Thoro, keep it Thoro. He mentions this a long time ago, and I've had the issue, but didn't really sit down and read it. But see, name is Arcane, but it's so she ends up, Cable is this guy she's talking to at the time, and I guess she's the town doctor, because there's not really that many doctors. So he ends up going to so name's Abigail. So Abigail Arcane, which you kind of like say, okay, Arcane. So that's basically Arcane had something tie in with that guy. So at first you're like, oh shit, was that his father or whatnot that passed away? So then he ends up going, kind of like how you say, kind of like and she ends up like talking about to Matt Cable about the life of what she does in the town, and she's there with her uncle, which she ends up saying it's her uncle. And yo, what up, Rex? Hey, Sandra, what's up, sister? So she ends up talking about like how in the castle but the guy Patchwork, he ends up kind of like trying to help Swamp Thing, because he falls off a cliff and grabs him, but for some reason he falls. And during the process, Patchwork Man, he ends up destroying the shit out of the fucking castle and exploding it. And we don't know why. It's like, what the hell is exploding? But as Abigail starts talking about her, can't find her dad and this and that, and can't find her uncle. So Patchwork Man ends up being her father, but deformed, because he had an accident, and his brother tried to basically get back tries to get back his brother's life, but through the process he ends up into Swamp Thing. Telling me it's changing my mind. Yeah, Raider, bro. Hopefully, brother, that's just basically, like I said, there's a lot of characters out there I'm sorry, but that we don't know of, that we don't read of, and I figured I'll share. And yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, see, it's never, but yeah, it's a pretty good story. I was really intrigued by it, but when I read it, and I'm really enjoying what I'm reading thus far. I haven't really read it. I sat down these last couple weeks or week and a half to really read it, and Swamp Thing it is actually a real good story. And from if I watched I think it was they were showing was it the Jim Mint. He kind of like breaks down these 2 volumes of books that are pretty pricey, but are worth it if you want to really read them. And then there's my sister. Appreciate you stopping by. What up, Rag, Mr. Unknown? I appreciate everybody. Count Von Strange, bro. We gotta get together sometime and talk more about horror comics. I would love to do that. But like I said, and there's my boy Mr. G. I appreciate everybody stopping by. But like I said, so Patchwork ends up destroying this shit, and then it ends up being. And she finds out, or doesn't find out. We find out in reading it that it's actually her father, and he ends up seeing Abigail through the process of escaping the castle because Arcane kept these motherfuckers kind of like in a jail cell because they were deformed, and he was scared because their mind were all there. So they was afraid that I got you, broski. Okay, let me just finish this real quick, and I'll punch you in, bro. And I was just like I was saying, he ends up destroying the shit because he's mad because he's seen himself in the mirror and it's all fucked up. So he's like, "Fuck this place," And mind you, his brother's dead, and he ends up he ends up destroying the shit. And through the whole process, he sees Abigail out in the woods and ends up, and she's with Matt Cable, and he ends up like kind of like fighting Matt Cable off, which is Lieutenant Cable, who's trying to search the whole situation, what's going on, and ends up knocking him out. In the process, he with the frightness of Abigail, who know what the fuck he is, because Patchwork, mind you, is different face, like Frankenstein right there, and ends up passing out from the fright. So he ends up picking her up and taking her, and Swamp Thing kind of like sees that and thinks terror off the bat. So he ends up seeing her and starts to fight him, saying that he's trying to do something to that girl. And ends up like fighting him off, but let it be known, Patchwork just wanted his daughter back because by looking at her, he remembered. What up, meow meow. Ends up finding out that he was there. So he ends up fighting him, and then at the midst of the process, Patchwork ends up kind of dying because they were fighting, and the townsman and Matt Cable end up trying to like fight him off. And the Patchwork and Swamp Thing, because they both think that they're working together to create this bullshit and try to take the Abigail. So he ends up dying, ends up falling, he ends up dying trying to save because they're off a cliff and the wooden thing. And I don't know, for some reason these 2 books, they had areas where you're dying off a cliff and shit. So Patchwork ends up falling and dies to save his daughter in a way, and Swamp Thing in the process was in that. And so then that ends up happening where Swamp Thing actually helps him, but also leaves to another area and ends up going somewhere else. But Matt Cable ends up like, well, fuck, because during the process, I think he had some issues where he couldn't find him, and he ends up trying to go look for him. So he's on the search and the hunt for him again, and he keeps looking for him. And then before I continue, let me add my broski. What up? What up, G?
What's up, man?
Just trying to share the community based on what I know about Swamp Thing, and I have it here. I appreciate you stopping by. Just a quick note, side guys, my broski's what's up, bro? I basically try to do something with my broski, Arcamus, and sometimes Joker, but Joker's busy right now. Trying to do something different and bring these guys on. He has time on Fridays, and I figured, I'll do a Friday. I know East Meets West show we do on Sundays, but Friday I kind of try to do my own thing and change it up. And I appreciate the 12 people watching. But like I said before, so the process issues 1, 2, and 3, they basically based on get to know Abigail and a little bit of Matt Cable and Swamp Thing. So issue 4. he ends up actually. Let me just retract a little bit. Abigail and Cable end up talking, and Cable says, "Well, I got nothing here. I'm gonna search for my friends. They're both dead. I'm gonna hunt for to go Swamp Thing." So he ends up going, "Well, I'm gonna go back to my land," because he came to an area to look for him, but he ended up taking off in a plane. And Abigail's like, "I have no life here. My uncle passed away through the whole situation, the explosion that he, so to speak, and then Patchwork, he says my father's not around, so there's no point of being here." So he ends up flying through the mix of flying with the dog, because remember the dog, I didn't bring the dog, but the dog ends up going with Matt Cable because that's the only thing that he had left of his friends. And and then all of a sudden they fly, and fucking, what do you got? You got fucking Swamp Thing underneath the plane with them, not knowing that they're there. So during the process, let me see if I can share my screen. Let me see.
I got your broski issue 4 right there.
Yeah. So yeah, right here. So mind you, he ends up going there. So this one I just want to showcase. So they end up crashing. They end up crashing, but they survive. Mind you that Abigail and Abigail and Matt Matt Cable, they both have a pilot. I think his name was, I think he's only there for the motherfucker's only there for like the issue, but fucking he ends up being the pilot. So three of them end up going to that little thing that, like, what was it called, like a horse with the horse in the cabin, the was carousel. So they end up taking them to this house, and I guess in this house they're fucking trying to see if I got it. So the people who find them is Jenna and Angus beef, baby. And then he ends up, they're the Macabres. So he ends up and I think this area is in actually Scotland. So now they're in Scotland from being in the Bayou in Louisiana. Now they're from Scotland. They're in Scotland, and let's see what else. And they end up going there, and then let's see. They end up going to Scotland, and then they don't know what's going on because they're injured due to they're having some rough times. Yeah. Yo, it's crazy ass shit. You need to check out the Sith Lord and his Wolverine cut 12 on Instagram. Okay, y'all check that out. I'll check that out, broski. Put it right here. So yeah, no, I appreciate Halea coming in and Big Cat Line. And
shout out to Big Cat.
Yeah. So then there he is, Mr. Unknown Comic, my broski. Sith Lord, I appreciate Sith. Shout out to Sith Lord, man. That mother skunk is everywhere on live shows and videos and shit like that. And you guys are really supportive, and I appreciate that. Everybody else in the community,
Sith Lord is always in everybody's chat.
Yeah, hell yeah! I watched you guys' Dick Tracy video, bro. When you guys were drawing Dick Tracy on, I believe it was Recon.
Yesterday he was dressed like one of the Commodores.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to that BLC too. BLC broski's been doing a lot of live unboxings, and the comic collector, he always does is like he always shows like his he's a big DC. He's a big DC fan, so he'll showcase a lot of his Superman collections, Green Lantern collections, and he has a dope ass a DC collection. And then, like I said, Raider Bear has always been around too as well. Rack 718, he's been up back and forth too as well. But let's see, I need to make some of my memes. You mother skunk, dude, dirty dog. But like I was saying, so then go issue 4. Issue 4, I showed you a little bit. They go to Scotland, and these guys are here to take care of them because due to the crash, because the plane had lights that kind of like seen that that they landed in an area that wasn't really a plane to land. So but they don't know about that. So they go there, and then Jenna and Angus Macabre, they end up treating him, you stay here, whatever, to get better in the mix of everything. The reason why they survived, because when they crashed, Swamp Thing, kind of with his force and strength, he ended up trying to stop the plane from falling off a cliff. So you kind of see, like, later on, they kind of forecast the reason why they're alive is because he ends up saving their lives. He ends up saving their lives due to the tragic crash. Yeah. So he ends up going there, and during the mix, there's like area where the creature of the Moors. So this basically the issue is called creature of the Moors, and out in the outside it's kind of foggy and everything at night, and I guess there's a werewolf at night that comes out or like a creature. So then they don't know about this creature, but I think his name. Let me see. Uh, fucking
There's the issue where they try to make an experiment to cure their son from being a werewolf.
Yeah. So Paul Rudman ends up saying, situation, I'm gonna go check on my plane because I want to make sure I can get because it's cracked, but he ends up having a system to be able to contact outside to make sure know that they crash and they're in this area that they, just in case they get somebody to help them out. No problem, bro. You already know. You already know. Shout out to your 1K too as well, bro. I seen that. We did that about a few weeks ago in the giveaway. Much deserved, brother. And so then they go to like you said before. So they end up Paul Rudman ends up dying from a werewolf attack. But during the mix, Swamp Thing's like again he figures out I'm not the only creature out here in the night. There's somebody else. On screen right now. Yeah, boy. And then and then he ends up going to they end up taking care of Matt and Abigail. So then they end up getting taken care of. But then the mix they finally meet this guy that actually I think Angus and Jenna's son, Ian McCobb. And that's who ends up. You could tell right off the bat. When we read a lot of comics, we kind of tell that's a cliffhanger right there. He ends up introducing himself, and like there's no. I guess the horses were loose, so the werewolf ended up eating or killing the horse. Oh, actually, no, take that back. The horses ran off because they weren't really tied to the stable. They were loose, so during the whole process, they got frightened and they took off. So they had no horses, I guess, to able to take them back to town to get them out into safety. So they had to stay there one more night. So then, so then they say, "Oh, you're welcome to stay here and stay overnight, whatever." And they end up like kind of like drugging them, like drinking something the second night they're there and passing out. So then when they wake up, Matt Cable's in like one of like fucking strapped, and with the confusion of blood because she wanted to transfuse Ian's blood to his blood, so the curse would lift up from him and be on Matt. I guess what they did was plant lights to make it seem like it was a landing space for the airplane, but it ended up being an area false, so they can get somebody to help him become off the curse of being a werewolf. So during the mix, I guess, like beforehand, I guess they end up trying doing it, but Swamp Thing kind of like follows them and sees what they're doing, and ends up breaking in, and I guess they say werewolves like kind of weaken to silver, like kind of weaken to silver.
Yeah.
They were hiding all the silverware and everything. They were silver, but there was a chandelier that was kind of silver, and he ends up fighting him. The wolf, Ian starts to change the wolf, and they're fighting, and Matt's still kind of getting up from it, but still kind of strapped. And so then Jenna and Angus were trying to treat their son, but I guess through the mix, Swamp Thing was battling, and I guess his mother got in the way of the chandelier about to fall. So he pushes his mother out the way and ends up falling on top of Ian and kind of kills him. So like she goes, "Why did you do that? You're so young. I'm old. Let me die. Let me be young and become." But he is, I'm tired of this curse. So he ends up dying, and Swamp Thing ends up saving, again, Abigail and Matt. And so these things end up consisting of him being in the outskirts of Matt and Abigail for the last few issues, and so that's basically a little bit of story I wanted to show. I've been around for 30 minutes, but I also want to show some key issues on Swamp Thing as well that people might know already and not know. But I'm gonna share my screen, and
yeah, word. I got some comics too, but they're not keys.
Yeah, no. We'll showcase those too as well. That's dope. That's what we're here. We're talking about Swamp Thing. So this one right here, um, let me showcase this one. So this is a Swamp Thing that everybody knows about. It's issue number 37. It's first appearance of Constantine. I heard rumors that they're going to remake Constantine with what's his name, Keanu Reeves again. Hopefully they do. And
That'd be cool.
I really liked it. A lot of people
Yeah,
have had mixed feelings of that book, that movie.
I
But
like
to have a second one would be dope. Except don't bring back Shia LaBeouf. You know, he was okay in that movie. Another one that I oh look that I'll hold on. So this one right here is actually his second appearance of Constantine. So you got first and second. So this one doesn't go too much. I know Swamp Thing 37 goes between. It could be the three to $600 book. The Swamp Thing 37 because of Constantine, and then spiking up a little bit. This is actually issue number 38, the second appearance. And then we got right here Justice League Dark annual anniversary issue number 50. Full appearance of Swamp Thing issue 49 is, I guess, cameo appearance. And then you got like another key book to have is the annual Swamp Thing number 2. And that has a lot of the old classic what's called Justice League Dark before the newer Justice League Dark. I believe it came in New 52 issue number 1. And this one was, these are 2 keys. I do have my PC. I'm glad I have these before the spike went crazy. But these books go pretty good now. They in price. And I also wanted to show one more book. So this one is the Swamp Thing Winter Special. This was done by Tom King and Jason Fabok. And actually, it's a story of a kid that he's trying to help from the cold winter and take him to safety while this creature's trying to in the back, kind of like following them and doing so. Swamp Thing kind of protects him. And at the very end, Lin Win, there's an actual little story of him at the very end of this 80-page giant, but there's like splash pages, and when there's splash pages at the very end, I guess it tells you synopsis of the book of Liam Wynn was trying to read. Because the rest in peace, he passed away, I believe, in 2017. Like I said, there's a couple of things like, and then of course on Swamp Thing issue number 7. First time that I believe him and Batman changed, because might even during the story, Swamp Thing ends up going to Gotham to try to find again Matt Cable and Abigail through the process. And there's a little bit of story on that, but I wanted to just share the beginning stories of it. But this is the first time they actually meet up, and that's what I basically wanted to share. And let's see, stop sharing. So that little bit of small things I know. Winter Special was great. Yeah, I got that 50 already. Just nice. If you could get a chance, get that issue 49 too. I remember I picked that one years ago. But if you want, that's basically my story. I wanted to keep 30 minutes of sharing him. Next week, before I get it, me and Mark Chemist and maybe Joker are gonna dissect and read the first 5 or 6 issues of Strange Academy. I don't know how many people are reading it, but I figured we'll do a current. Since we did DC, this is going to be my Marvel pick coming up next week on Friday, hopefully around the same time. But I'm going to try to do a little bit more of the characters and a little more of the story and the characters based on what these characters are. So this is one thing I'm going to try to share, and hopefully you guys can gain some information on that.
Yeah.
Let's see. And our Kim's got this, and then I got an unboxing to do. That one off a raffle that I haven't done yet. I'm going to do live, so I figured I'll do that right at the very end. So go ahead, brother. I'll highlight you, and then we'll show some books, brother.
All right, cool. Yeah. So shout out to everybody who's in the chat watching my broski right here with his show. Great show. Something different. I'm glad I see something different other than the same old thing. And I shout out to a lot of people who do the same thing. But the Strange Academies, for those who haven't been reading it, it's basically just a little bit, just to give you a small bit of it before we do a whole thing about it. Is basically the kids going to school and trying to discover their powers and how to better themselves. But we'll leave that for the next show, and let me just show you some of the Swamp Things that we got.
Yeah, shout out to the Doom 143. Thank you, broski, for stopping by. We missed you on the East Meets West show. Great guy in the community, very knowledgeable, very sharing when it comes with knowledge and stuff. And I appreciate that. He's a great guy, my best friend. No, he's a great guy. I
He's a
really
great guy. Yeah,
very
real
knowledgeable, like I
lot of
said,
information.
and I consider him family because he's a real good person off air and on there.
Yeah,
Keep
on it.
it real. And that's what I like about most of these people. Majority of these people, if not all these people that support me, they're good people, real good people in the community. And like I've reached out with these guys back in the day or now that had certain areas, but yeah, broski, what were we gonna ship my back?
All right, so yeah, so here I have issue number 6, and there's a 1 of 25 right here, Swamp Thing, and this covered by Yannick Paquetti, and story by Scott Snyder, and this is where Alec Holland will, he regrets trying to flee his destiny. So this is a great issue for those. Not crazy expensive, but it's a nice one. You don't really see a lot of it, but check that out. That's a good one. Here I have issue number 4. So this is Swamp Thing and face with death.
Yeah, shout out to Big East Comics. He ain't here, but he's a great guy in the community. He told me I have never read the New 52 Swamp Thing, but I heard it was a good read.
Mm-hmm. So this is for the New 52s, and this is also written by Scott Snyder and the same cover artist as Yannick Paquetti. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but yeah. And this one is the fight with the Knights of Decay.
Okay.
So that's another one. It's cool cover. This is not a very expensive book. It's like a $4 book, but it's still a good read.
Yeah, that's a good thing about like comic. You can find good books for great prices. You don't always have to go for that hype and that Venom and that Thor and all the books that everybody's after. You kind of like, hold on a second. Go ahead and shout. I'll mute myself.
And then here you have issue 10. You got to meet yourself, bro. Issue 10, and there's let's see, the rescue of he rescues an old lady from an escaped convict. But yeah, so and there's written by Bernie Wrightson. So there's another nice cover, and there's issue 10, yeah. So that's the last one that I have in my collection. So yeah, basically like Swamp Thing's just a guy with he has crazy strength, and he can break things like big ass trees with ease. He can also regenerate plant growth as well. So yeah, those are my picks right there. Those are my 3 books that I have in my collection. Shout out to everybody up in the channel or in the chat. But to my broski coming back, see what I have here. Got some books that I picked up from Walmart. So I have one of these right here. So I have Justice League 46. Got that in one of the Walmart picks. Let's see, Nightwing 71. Secret Origins of the Superheroes, number 17. Right here. And then here I have Flash, number 755. DC Universe. And the other day I showed my broski, I think it was yesterday night, I got my Box Heroes box. I'm going to just show you guys what I got. I already took it out, save some time. So broski gets back. So show you what I got. So I got this right here. This is a Spider-Woman 5. Got that in the Box Heroes. And I wish I would have did this live with broski yesterday. She was hilarious. You guys would have seen my reaction. You would have been laughing. So got that right there. That's a art germ cover. Then yes, the same thing, Spider-Woman number 5, regular. Here you have Marvel. Let's see, Marvel Action Chillers number 1. Then your Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 1. That came out like last week. Werewolf by Night number 1.
Yeah, those books, brother. Yeah.
Then got Death Metal Infinite Hour Extreme. Got that as well. Punchline number 1. This right here, DC Superstars number 1.
Yeah, that looks like a dope one. I
Yeah.
remember talking about that one off air.
Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man number 29. And these are all real good condition.
In a while, I don't think I ever paid attention to it.
Yeah. Then you have
jokes everywhere.
Killing jokes. And then last but not least, that saved me from losing my wig yesterday was Champions #1 Peach Momoko, the 1 in 50.
Yeah, that one was the icing on the cake, bro.
But if you guys would have seen Broski's reaction yesterday while I was going through these books, you'd have been laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all the books.
Holy shit, that's not bad. You got that book right there. You made all.
Yeah,
that.
I may get more because
it's good to have in the PC.
Yeah,
but
So altogether, I had priced it up yesterday. Like put together the price, and I just used the 59 like for the Peach Momoko. I just put like a $50 price to it.
Yeah.
And altogether with all the books, it was like a $90 total. So not bad.
So that's good, brother. But I have a unboxing to do, like I said.
Yeah. Highlight yourself.
This bad boy on Instagram later today. I haven't had time. I figured I'll do this. But yeah, I just want to, like I said, shout out to the chat. Shout out to everybody who stopped by In and Out, like Burger. Just excited to watch us. And so this one right here, this was a raffle I entered. I don't really enter raffles that often. Shout out to E-Rock 212. I end up just putting $8 on this raffle. I end up putting $8 on this raffle, and I decided, you know what? And it's funny because I was kind of like, am I gonna win or not gonna win? But I was like, I'll just do it to help fill the area and support my bro E-Rock.
Yeah, so boy.
I'm gonna tackle this motherfucker like crazy. But shout out to you, bro. Like I said,
highlight yourself.
Here, huh?
Highlight yourself so everybody can see what you got.
Oh yeah. My bad, bro. Good. So rest tomorrow night. Suck his shit, Gomez. I might go in there, but if you keep me waiting like last time, I'm not. Fuck that shit. I'll go put a movie on. You know what I mean? Well, I'm ready, dude. I won't be waiting. Time's ticking. Some biscuit.
You gotta start freaking what you call it? You gotta start we go copywriting these words you're saying. It should be hilarious.
Some biscuit. Okay. So no, I got this. I had it at 9.0 CBCS, and I ended up winning a 9.4 CGC.
Nice.
First appearance Gambit. First
$8.
Not full. It says first full appearance, but I say first cover. Like this is the book, but it ain't
not the book.
Oh, you gotta put someone else. Yes, you do, broski.
Shout out to them with that one.
I just all shits and giggles aside. So I won this bad boy 9.4. Upgrade my 9.0 that I have. I'm happy to have this in the PC. One of Henry, what's his name, man? I probably won't show Henry 357 5738 special big boy in a recent raffle. Put in $20. I still can't believe it. Yeah, broski. That's what Instagram is for, bro. Real quick before we head out, that's what Instagram's for. Instagram is for like areas you don't have time to make videos that you showcase your collection. And a lot of times we don't. That's why I use Instagram. I like Instagram because at times I can't do videos all the time. I'm always busy grinding and stuff. So unknown, it's always good to showcase your thank you, Raider Bird. Showcase your collection, your wins. People gain information. That's why I wanted to do this show for a half hour, but it was so long because I kept talking about the goddamn story like a Reader's Digest. And I just enjoy, and like I said, enjoy sharing knowledge. And like I said, next week's gonna be Strange Academy. Hopefully not as long as it is today. I try to keep it within half hour to 40 minutes tops. But I had this unboxing I wanted to show, and like I said, I'm happy for everybody who's watching the panel, the 15, the 20, the 30, the 40, who's ever rewatching this on the rewind. I appreciate you guys stopping by.
Yeah,
my bro, Art Chemist, I said Lee come when he can. Pause.
Yeah,
but
pause on that shit. What the fuck?
just like I said, happy to showcase, talk a little bit about Swamp Thing. But one again, there goes Break Tax to back to the Doom 143. I love reading Saga of Swamp Thing 21. Alan Moore killed it on the Crazy Twist. That's another guy that I have not read or got into myself. I have so much shit on my books, everything to read that I have to think. Yeah, maybe I'll post an IG. Yeah, dude, tag me,
Yeah,
bro.
word up, man. Shout out to
Showcase
Mr. Unknown too.
stuff. That's what a lot of people do nowadays, bro. It's always good. It's always good to do that because, like I said, you gain information, you gain knowledge on books that you never knew about. There's so much shit out there. It's that's what makes collecting comics so entertaining and so fun to do. Yet you gotta be careful how much you spend, and that's what we're here for, is to make sure that we share the knowledge we have based on our own mistakes we've seen when collecting comics, and help you guys become a better person when it comes to collecting. Don't live off regret, but live off knowing when it's the right time to purchase, when it's the right time to get the book, and be patient to get the sleepers. And that's why I think the Principal Defix does the cold keys and all that. But no, this is basically, it's been 50 minutes. Um, we rambled a lot, shared case some stuff about Broski. Kim show some stuff. I can't wait to see another art piece he does. He's an artist, and
Yeah, I'm doing some art right now.
when he showcases, when he finalizes whatever his next chapter is. But you want to say your goodbyes, bro? Go ahead, and I'll end it myself. Go ahead, Broski.
Yeah, man. Head to the Art Chemist channel. Me and my bros gonna do another video. Nah. Thank you. I just want to say what's up. Shout out to everybody. Don't forget to leave a comment in the rewind videos. You never know when somebody's gonna do a raffle. I've been telling everybody. People haven't been doing no raffles. Might be one winner. I'm cool with that. But other than that, until next time, peace.
Yeah. Like you said, be sure to watch us on the rewind. Hopefully, you gain some knowledge and this insight. You try to find something to read, even a trade paperback of Swamp Thing if you got a chance. And be sure to check us out on Sundays. We do East Meets West. Myself, Joker, 21 King of Gold State, Josh Grav, and the Doom when he can. And he's always a bi-weekly motherfucker. Will he be at the show? And Erod too, but will King be in the show?
Who knows?
Cross my fingers. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But then again, like I said, this is I hate this view right here. Like I said, this is Comic Collector and my broski Art Chemist. I appreciate him stopping by. This is almost an hour of a show, which I try to cut it and minimize it. Hopefully, keep it within 30, but no longer than less than an hour. This is Gomez. Happy Friday. Stay safe. Get that COVID be spiking, but be smart out there. Wear the mask. Save lives and save your own life. And this is again Gomez. Happy weekend. Happy Friday. Take care. Peace.